Well, all things considered, here on the 20th of December, the weather is good, 43 degrees. Wind is not much of a factor. And Jason Pierre-Paul, before this game started, I mean literally seconds ago, just got that club put on the right hand after that 4th of July fireworks incident that cost him his index finger and part of his thumb. So he plays with that club. Carolina won the toss. They deferred. Giants start with the ball. Off we go, week 15. To the 20. That's where the Giants will start with it, and Eli Manning will set up shop. Let's go down to the field. Here is Aaron Andrews.
Well, Joe, Carolina cornerback Josh Norman this week told the media his opponent, Odell Beckham, seems very enticing, almost edible. I don't know how this matchup is going to taste, but obviously everyone in the media has been hyping it up. And I was talking to some vets in this Panthers secondary like Roman Harper and Charles Tillman about the matchup, and they said what they're trying to stress to Norman is it's the defense versus the offense. Don't get too hyped into this whole thing, because that's when mistakes happen.
Aaron, thanks. Right now it's Beckham in the slot, and it's Norman out across from Dwayne Harris. We'll see a lot of Beckham in the slot. Quick throw is to Will Tye, who is the tight end these days for the Giants, good for 4.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo, he aligns Odell Beckham Jr. in the slot because Josh Norman, although he travels with him as he is here at the top of the screen, he typically does not go with the receiver in the slot. So McAdoo wanting to determine early if Norman would travel with him once he is in the slot.
The answer was no. Here's Jennings coming off his best day, nothing. And this Carolina Panther defense is ranked 10th overall, but they are outstanding against the run, number 2 in the NFL. And here are some of the faces, the 21 sacks allowed. And as we've already seen, a completion to Will Tye. Eric Flowers playing again with his sprained left ankle. He's at left tackle. 3rd down and 7. Four men on the rush. Manning guns it. Beckham. Flag. Kuechly. And right down the middle of the field with a linebacker on him, Odell Beckham.
Pass interference. Defense number 59. Automatic first down.
Pretty nice job down the middle. They're trying to get Odell Beckham, and Luke Kuechly runs as well as any middle linebacker in football. He was responsible. Eli Manning had a chance to the outside, potentially to pick up the first down. He takes the shot, gets the penalty. First down, Giants.
24-yard penalty.
118.
Sets it up at the 48. Manning. Beckham. Open. Dropped it. Working on Norman, and he could have put the exclamation point on the start of this day, and he raises his hand. That's on number 13.
Well, I can guarantee you that got Josh Norman's attention. As you're going to see, he takes a deep post. He just simply outruns Josh Norman to the middle, and a perfectly thrown ball by Eli Manning, and that's just something you don't see.
We'll talk about the way Beckham catches a football as we go through this game. 2nd down and 10. What a missed chance that was. Here's Vereen. And Vereen will carry it just inside Carolina territory. And now a little scrum breaks out as you look at the drop by Beckham between Josh Norman and Odell Beckham. And that's why you hear the crowd reacting. Beckham ended up on the ground after that last play was over. It's now 3rd and 7. We'll show it to you in a second. Blitz from Kuechly. Vereen picks him up. Pass is dropped by Cunningham, the tight end. Pass a little behind the big tight end. But this will be a drive where the Giants are thinking about what could have been, and here's what was going on after that run a moment ago. Norman and Beckham got into it, no flag, and it's 4th down. Brad Wing to punt. Ginn waits for it. And it checks up inside the 5. Well, how about this start for Odell Beckham? Got behind Norman and then Cunningham on 3rd down. No score as the Panthers take over.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide.
Cam Newton in the middle of that huddle with the ball back at the 4-yard line. The last 6 games he's been awesome. Quarterback rating of just under 120 and leading the MVP race. Hand off to Tolbert. Runs into a wall, and the big fullback slash tailback. A gain of maybe 1, and Colin Jenkins is there with Jasper Brinkley to stop him. There is no Jonathan Stewart. He's got a sprained left foot, so 3 guys will try to fill that hole. Whitaker, Tolbert, and the young Cameron Artis-Payne. 2nd and 9. Newton fires it, pass is dropped, big hit. It was Ginn who had it in his hands, and it was Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie who knocked it out. 3rd and 9.
Well, they had an opportunity, and you're going to see Ginn's got separation, and he's got a chance right in that window, but it's a ball that gets away from Cam Newton, and Ginn trying to get turned around. It hits him in the hands, but an awfully difficult catch for him to make.
This defense is ranked last in the NFL for the Giants, trying to come up with a big 3 and out. Newton with bodies around him. This one broken up for Ted Ginn along the sideline, and Cooper Taylor, who's been working his way more and more into the lineup at safety, was back there defending, and it is 3 and out.
Well, the Giants, they play coverage on this one. Steve Spagnuolo, they're going to double up on their tight end, the leading receiver Greg Olsen. You see the help over the top by Dahl, and just nowhere for Cam Newton to go with the football. And so a nice punt to pin him inside the 5 and then to go 3 and out. Just a great job of defense by the New York Giants.
Harris waits for it. Nortman hits it. A little room for Harris. To the near sideline, flag flies, as it so often does on a punt return, and it is a hold against the Giants. They marked Harris out just outside the 30.
During the return, holding, receiving team number 21. 10-yard penalty, 1st down, timeout.
That's a rookie, Landon Collins. Well, it's 3 and out for number 1 of the undefeated Carolina Panthers. Giants have it 2nd time. No score in the Meadowlands.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL.
We'll clean up as the referee or this officiating crew said the wrong number. It should have been on 25, Tremaine Jacobs. They called it on Landon Collins. Either way, the ball is still in decent starting field position right at midfield for the Giants. No score. Blitz off the corner with Norman. Manning gets around it and then throws incomplete for Dwayne Harris. How good is this defense? Everybody talks about Cam Newton, rightly so, but this defense with Kuechly and Thomas Davis, the linebackers, it's as dangerous as any in the league.
Yeah, and like their offense, they just keep getting better as the year goes along. 4 of the last 5 teams that they have faced have had 250 yards or less of offense.
Trying to set up a screen, it's not there. And with that, before a 3rd and 10 NFC East update, here's Mike Hill.
Yeah, Giants fans with an eye on this one. Skins against the Buffalo Bills. First Drive of the game for the Skins. Kirk Cousins, the Jordan Reed 3-yard score. ATD of the season for Reed. 7-0 Skins in the first. Joe Troy, back to you.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. This three-way tie atop the NFC East. Now 3rd down and 10. Here's Vereen out of the backfield, and that's Kuechly. He drags him down after a gain of 9. And another fight breaks out, and again it's Beckham and Norman downfield. Beckham walks off with his helmet off, and there's still not a flag down on the turf. Let's see how it got going.
Well, Josh Norman was on him. They gave a little bit of help, and looked like Odell Beckham came back in and took a shot on Josh Norman, and you just don't know what all has happened on each of these plays. We saw on the first possession the scuffle that took place. A lot of discussion coming into this game about the matchup between these two guys and who was going to prevail, and that's carrying over onto the field in the way that they're handling things after the plays have ended.
Instead of going for it on 4th and 1, Tom Coughlin elects to punt with Wing. A short hop on the long snap. Fair catch by Ginn outside the 10. Well, we've had some action, no scoring. Now the Panthers have it for the second time. Nothing at MetLife.
Today's game is sponsored by Chevrolet. Find new roads. Today's game is sponsored by Mobile Strike. Download and play now, free from the App Store.
Terry McCauley, the referee, veteran ref, talked to both coaches during the break. First it was Coughlin, then Ron Rivera, about what's been going on between Odell Beckham and Josh Norman. No flags for that stuff, but it is getting a little chippy out there. Starting just outside their 10. Handoff is to Tolbert. And Tolbert is going to push the pile across the 15. Picks up 4. Robert Ayers on the stop.
Well, first of all, I'd say that's a great job by Terry McCauley in trying to bring some order to this football game. I'll go back to the 4th and 1. I'm really surprised that Tom Coughlin did not go for it in that situation. But think now to how that penalty on Tremaine Jacobs affected this ball game, at least on that possession. They likely are at least attempting a field goal. Excellent work by Carolina defensively, not giving up any points when they gave the ball to the Giants at midfield.
2nd and 6, passes caught. This is Ginn. And Ginn, who is having a career year, is good for 23. Another big play to number 19.
Yeah, well, Ted Ginn, we've seen how he has just destroyed some defenses in the last 2 weeks with his speed. 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 ball games, and so he's going to get some respect because of that speed. Soft coverage. Nice area there for Cam Newton to fit the ball into him.
Ginn had 120 against the Falcons last week. Hand off to Tolbert, and that big back is good for 3. Jason Pierre-Paul on the stop. Look at this Giants defense. Problem has been at the linebacker level with inconsistency with personnel because of injuries.
And more specifically at the middle linebacker, they've had a lot of moving parts across the board. It's been a revolving door at that position. They've just had a hard time developing some continuity. One thing they've done a great job of this year is creating takeaways.
Fake it to Tolbert. Here's Olsen, his first catch. Collins on the tackle. Landon brought him down after a gain of 6, and Olsen is by far the top target for Cam Newton. That's catch number 66 on the year, and he's approaching his 2nd straight 1,000-yard season.
Was there any doubt that he was going to play today? He banged up his knee in last week's win against the Falcons, and there was some question as to whether or not he would suit up, but by starting this game today, his 140th consecutive start, 2nd best in the NFL amongst tight ends.
3rd down and 1. Here is Tolbert. He's got a first down. Ayers on the tackle, but not before Tolbert, who, by the way, has the attention of Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Giants. They may be without Jonathan Stewart, who is number 3 in the NFL at just under 1,000 yards. But Spags likes what Tolbert brings as a ball carrier.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he's a pretty versatile player. He's good as a blocker. They use him as a running back at times. He can catch the football. He's got good size. They've been utilizing him here in this game.
The rookie Cameron Artis-Payne is going to be faked to as Newton keeps it. Cam Newton in the big body rolls inside the 20. And out of bounds inside the 5, and a flag comes down as an official goes down as well. That read option, and Cam Newton kept it and picks up 47. And a flag came in at the end of the play.
After the play, personal foul and necessary roughness. Defense number 21, late hit out of bounds. Half minutes to the goal, first down.
You see everybody flows that way, and it just opens up the middle for Cam Newton. And a lot of times you don't know if he's actually reading it or it's pre-designed in the huddle, but it sure looked there like he was reading the plays. You see Pierre Paul come in, and without being able to wrap up with both arms, it's been a challenge for him. But what a run by Cam Newton right in the teeth of that defense.
That's Carolina's longest run of the season, 47 yards. It belongs to Cam Newton. They're inside the 2. Here is Artis-Payne, and he is stopped. First guy there was Jenkins. And Colin Jenkins is no kid. He's 34, 12th year in the NFL. He has played a lot, and he has played well for Steve Spagnuolo in this Giants defense.
Well, they got their backs against the wall right now. It's 2nd and goal, but you know, not a lot of things that this defense has done a great job of this year, but they have been good down in the red zone.
Here's Tolbert. He won't get in. And now 3rd down and goal, and there's been no room to run in there. Colin Jenkins again with Jonathan Casillas.
Well, you see the interior of that defense, and they just don't budge. They hold their ground and don't give any room then for this Carolina offense to operate. We'll see if they're able to hang on here. This will be a huge win for this Giants defense after that long run by Cam, if they're able to keep him out of the end zone.
9th play of the drive. Pass is caught back in the end zone. Ginn for the touchdown. Touchdown throw number 29 for Cam Newton.
It's a well-designed route. You're going to see Ted Ginn as he pushes inside. You've got Dahl who's thinking, well, maybe he's going to cross across the back line, and it puts him on his heels, and then Ginn goes back to the corner and opens up the space for Cam Newton.
Remember the 47-yard run by Cam Newton on the drive. And it's what Carolina and Cam been doing all season long. Cam got him down there and then into the end zone with a touchdown throw to Ginn. The 13-0 Panthers lead by 7. As we welcome you back, aerial coverage provided by Nationwide. Jonathan Stewart may be out for the Carolina Panthers. They don't need a running back. Cam Newton took it 47 yards to set up the touchdown, and Ron Rivera, who still calls on his old coach Mike Ditka for advice during the course of the season. His undefeated Panthers lead by 7. The drive will start at the 20 for Eli Manning and New York as they trail here at home. It's hard for these Giants to not look back within this game, specifically with how it could have started with a big drop by Odell Beckham, and even look back on this season, Troy. 5 losses where they've had a lead inside of the last 2 minutes of a game. 5 of their 7 losses.
Well, they've missed out on 10 points already here in this first quarter.
Handoff is to Jennings. Nice little hop and a good carry on first down as he picks up 7. Brought down by Charles Johnson. Down to Aaron Andrews we go.
Well, we've been watching the back and forth between Josh Norman and Odell Beckham after the play, and when Josh Norman came over to the sideline, several members of Carolina's defense walked over to him and said, enough is enough, stop, just walk away. Next time these officials will throw a flag, so just walk away from him. Joe?
Well, the stage is never bigger than when you're playing against the Giants here in their home stadium, and so a lot of hype, and you know, emotions running high. First down as Jennings picks it up, and despite what Aaron just said, even after the last play, these two are still going at it.
Well, the last two times we see there from Odell Beckham, and then on the previous scuffle that they had, I think that was initiated by Beckham as well. So I think Josh Norman has heeded the advice of his teammates, and he's trying to lay low, but Beckham has certainly doesn't look like he's been talked to by any of his teammates or Tom Coughlin, but Terry McCauley, he's not going to tolerate it, and he's already warned these coaches.
From the 31 play action, Manning steps into it, throws, Beckham can't hang on. And he's got Norman right there on him. And with that, before 2nd and 10, the red light's on, so Kurt's ready with a game break.
And a little more success hooking up between Teddy Bridgewater and Stephon Diggs. 15-yard score against the Bears. Minnesota trying to end that 2-game losing streak up 7-0, ready to start the second quarter. Joe, Troy, and Aaron.
All right, Kurt, thank you. Right now, Minnesota sitting in that number 6 spot. And safe in the playoff picture in the NFC. Manning out to his right. Ty can't hang on, and Kuechly gives him a little shove. But it was well timed, and it's 3rd and 10 coming up.
And the one way, as I said earlier, that you get Josh Norman off of your guy is to put him in the slot, and we kind of wondered whether or not Carolina would match him up in the slot, something they've not done a lot of, but so far, at least in this game, they have not. So it dictates coverage to some degree when you're willing to put your number 1 guy there in the middle.
Third drop already for the Giants. Manning, quick setup and throw, and the pass is caught by Nix. It depends on where they mark him. It's right at the first down marker. It's enough for a first down. That's a big-time catch for a guy who was recently added back to this roster.
Well, and to make that catch, you first got to have protection. They do an excellent job of picking up Luke Kuechly in the middle blitz, which affords Eli Manning time to deliver the ball, and Team Nix with an excellent catch.
Here's Vereen. Trying to get Shane Vereen more involved in this offense. Ball comes out, evidently, or a flag is another scuffle. And the officials get together. Looks like the Giants maintain possession, but a flag's down.
After the play, unnecessary roughness, defense number 26. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
They get Cortland Finnegan.
Yeah, they get Cortland Finnegan, but Odell Beckham was in the slot, and that's who Finnegan was covering, and Beckham takes a shot at him. This time they're in the middle. They get Finnegan there at the end of that play, but I think somebody's got to get a hold of Odell Beckham and get him settled down. I think he's still probably a little frustrated with himself for dropping that ball, which would have been a touchdown.
You can see Ron Rivera high on the sideline for Carolina. Can't say I blame him. From the 40 on first down, pass is caught. That's Cunningham. And with that tackle by Finnegan, we'll bring in Mike Pereira from Los Angeles. Mike, you get the sense that these officials are going to have to get control of this game here soon.
Well, I think they tried when they actually went to both sidelines and talked to both coaches, and now you're going to see them sometime catch in the second act. I don't blame Ron for being mad, but you're going to see a lot of flags coming up shortly if it doesn't stop.
Here's Jennings with a good hard run coming off his best game of the year. Coleman on the stop, and it's going to be 3rd down and inches.
Josh Norman right now, he's talking to the officials because he's been getting pounded on each time, and he's waiting for them now to throw a flag. He's trying to keep his cool, hand up inside the face mask, and if these officials would watch what's going on, they got to be real careful, the Giants do, because if this continues, there's not only going to be a penalty on Beckham, there's a chance he gets tossed.
Delayed handoff for the first down to Jennings. And when you talk to the Giants, they'll say this is Jennings' job right now. If he grabs it and goes with it, coming off that good game at the Dolphins.
Yeah, and they really needed that, Joe, last Monday night. And he took advantage of it. Prior to that, he had been struggling running the football. But as long as he's productive in this game and doing what he did on Monday night, finishing runs, he's going to continue to get the load. And they were a balanced attack, and certainly that's going to be important against this outstanding defensive ball club.
First down now for Manning. Left alone for the touchdown is Ruben Randall. They forgot about 82.
It's just a blown coverage by Carolina. You got slant here, and then you got Ruben Randall up the sideline, and Cortland Finnegan, it looked like, was the one who either he was in man coverage and he blows the coverage, or on the outside they don't pass it off, but it leaves Ruben Randall open for the touchdown.
This Carolina defense lost a good player in the young corner, Ben Wickery, with a broken lower leg against Atlanta last week, so they've had some shuffling back there. They've added Cortland Finnegan in season. They just added Robert McLean, and those injuries have to take a toll at some point in the secondary.
Yeah, and they want Cortland Finnegan just working on that slot receiver, and that's where he has been in this game. That's just a blown assignment by either him or a misunderstanding on exactly what the coverage was. But the Giants, who have missed out on some opportunities already in this first quarter, as I said, the touchdown to Odell Beckham, the penalty on Tremaine Jacobs in the kicking game, which knocked them immediately out of field goal range. That leaves 10 points, out there on the field. But they finish that drive. They get the penalty on Finnegan, which certainly helped to tie this game up 7-7.
27-yarder to Ruben Randall. People talk about the hot seat with Tom Coughlin. He can be really dangerous as a head coach when he's on it, that hot seat. He's made some great late runs, won Super Bowls with two teams that really didn't have great regular seasons. 10-6 in 2007. 2011, they won the division, but at 9-7. He knows how to get his team to play. Here's Joe Webb, third-string quarterback, is out to the 25 on the return. And here's Ron Rivera. One thing I did tell these guys is keep your personality and keep true to who you are. And Ron Rivera, who is in his 5th year, took over a 2-14 team. He is about as classy an individual, former player, has let these guys play, calls on a lot of people for advice during the course of the season, including our good friend John Madden. He got a good playing career, and he has become a terrific head coach. From the 25, Newton fires, incomplete for Greg Olsen.
Well, Ron Rivera has done an excellent job with this team, and you talk about how he has said, hey, don't lose your personality, and you don't sense that was ever going to be a problem with this Carolina team, quarterbacked by Cam Newton. You watch him in pregame warm-ups come out, and he's about as loose as he can possibly be, and you just feel like Cam believes this is his moment in time, and he's going to enjoy every minute of it, and as well he should.
Handoff is to Whitaker. Just his second play from scrimmage. His first carry, picks up 2. Jay Bromley on the tackle for the Giants. A minute to go in the opening quarter.
You talk about these Giants, and yeah, they're right in the middle of this NFC East divisional race, and yet at 6-7 and a losing record coming into this game. I think one of the more confident 6-7 teams you'll ever see, because of the way this season has gone and the way they've lost some of the games they've lost. They could very easily be a team with 3 or 4 more wins than they've got.
3rd down and 8. Newton flushed out to his right. He will run for it, pick it up easily, and then slide. Gets up, skipping along, takes a bow, picks up 16.
Well, once Cam Newton gets outside the pocket, you just knew it was a matter of how many yards was he going to get, not whether he was going to pick up the first down or not. And he just glides for this first down. He's a big guy, 255 pounds. And going back to that previous run, Joe, that set up their touchdown, there's a lot of read options that we see in this game. It is rare that you see a read option quarterback keep the ball and take it right into the teeth of the defense, but that's what they're willing to do with Cam Newton because he's bigger than most of these linebackers.
He keeps it again, this time corralled, and a good play as the first quarter comes to a close by J.T. Thomas. Well, the main event, inside the main event, Beckham, Norman, fighting all game long after one, tied at 7. Back after this from your local Fox station. Look at the ball control, and it's right there pretty split evenly. 7-7 game. Carolina with a football, 2nd down, facing them just on their side of midfield. Cam Newton with a 47-yard run in this game. He's now over 500 rushing yards for the season. He's had at least 3,000 passing yards, 500 rushing yards in all 5 seasons in his young NFL career. And he's just getting better. Second and 7. Newton, down he goes. A blitz came in. Robert Ayers was there, and J.T. Thomas came in late. Loss of 9.
J.T. Thomas there at linebacker. Once they run the fake there, it opens it up for J.T. Thomas. Nobody blocks him. Straight shot. They're trying to go play action, take a shot down the field. J.T. Thomas has something to say about that.
Ayers now 4 sacks over his last 3 games. Thomas might get a piece of that one as well. It's 3rd and 16. Newton protected, airs it out. Ginn downfield. Dahl was there. And Ginn has it go off his right hand, incomplete. And I'll tell you what, Ginn was in better position. Dahl was falling back. There was opportunity there.
Well, I was a little surprised Cam even took a shot because Dahl was there over the top to make a play on the ball, and he thinks he's going to get an easy interception, and Ted Ginn, he breaks that up. So good work on his part preventing the interception.
Dahl's a guy that Steve Spagnuolo loves. Had him in St. Louis, brought him back here to the Giants, who we had on that championship team in 2007. Here's Harris. Breaks 1 tackle. He got away from Webb, and now a flag flies as Harris can get just to the 10. Joe Webb downfield, first guy to get his hands on him. Then Addison cleaned it up, but a flag
During
down.
the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 20. Half the distance to the goal. First down, timeout.
It's on Amukamara. Here's the play by Ginn to break up a pick. Tied at 7. 2nd quarter.
This game is sponsored by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram.
Well, Odell Beckham, no catches, dropped a touchdown early. Came into this game with only 3 drops all year. He's got obviously terrific hands.
Hey, stay in 54, stay in 54. Hey, yo, wait, hey. 118, what's that?
Andre Williams in the backfield, he gets it. And pushes the pile out to the 5. And a flag comes in at the end of the play.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense number 13, low to the head. Half minutes to the goal, the down counts, 2nd down.
Let's watch. This has been going on all game. I mean, at some point, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, I think the coaches, they've talked to Terry McCauley. Josh Norman has been talking to the officials as well, and this time they catch Odell Beckham. They're just not going to continue to tolerate that. We saw the very first time it happened, it looked like maybe Josh Norman instigated it, but ever since then, it's all been Odell Beckham.
Quick throw will tie, and that's a good play backed up. He is less than a yard from a first down for the Giants, and so far no catches. This big drop, which has got to lead to the frustration for Beckham. Here the Giants hurrying it up on 3rd and 1. And it looks to be enough for a first down. And it will be with Andre Williams. That's a big first down for the Giants as they were backed up and then got that personal foul. But because they were backed up, it really wasn't that big of a penalty yardage-wise on Beckham.
Right, when you're backed up like that, the first thing you want to do is just pick up 1 first down and make sure you give your punter some room to work if you have to punt. And the Giants are able to accomplish that.
More for Andre, who's able to sneak out and pick up about 10. Kuechly on the stop, and Andre Williams. This is his drive to carry it, and he broke a tackle.
And getting his opportunity, and he just kind of knifes his way through there, breaks some tackles. He's a big physical guy, 230 pounds.
They keep it with him. On first down, picks up a couple.
Go back to that Monday night game. He was in there, and whether it was a exchange issue or whatever happened, he fumbled, and he didn't get much work after that. And that's what opened the door then for Rashad Jennings to have the night that he had. And he knows that this possession's important for him.
Five-eight's coming. Five-eight's coming. 58, go to 58. 58. Blue. Hey, go 59. Tight fan it. Here we go. 118. All right, set.
2nd down and 8. Manning incomplete, through behind Cunningham. With that, here is Kurt Menefee with the game break.
Well, you know the scenario, 3-way tie in the NFC East. Washington got it going today so far. Jordan Reed, his 2nd touchdown of the day from Kirk Cousins, who's also run one in. They're 20-0 on top of the Bills, pinning the extra point, trying to make it 21-zip. Joe Troy-Aaron.
Yet right now they lead in the tiebreaker situation in the NFC East. Jordan Reed's become a big weapon for the Redskins. 3rd and 8. Pass is underneath Vereen, and that's Finnegan on the stop. It's 4th down. Good tackle by Cortland Finnegan to force a punt.
Yeah, it sure was. And coming into this game, Shane Vereen was a guy that Tom Coughlin talked about and saying we just need to try to get him a little bit more involved, get him catching the football a little bit more. Thought Eli did nice work there, not forcing anything up the field, 3rd and long, take what he has underneath. Overall, being able to get the ball off the goal line, certainly a nice job on their part, and hoping to flip field position.
Wing hits it, end over end. Ginn is tripped up immediately, and a good play downfield by Landon Collins. 46-yard punt. Nothing on the return.
During the kick, holding, receiving team number 56. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
They get A.J. Klein, and that'll back up Carolina even more. Good game, important game. The undefeated Panthers against the 6-7 Giants, tied at 7. Let's go back and give you the penalty on A.J. Klein as he holds Wani Unga. There's a little takedown right there. That got the flag, and then this tackle by Collins, a dangerous tackle on Ginn.
Yeah, it sure is. You see a lot of injuries occur with the leg whip there. Could have called him on it.
From the 15. Newton slings it past, caught. That's Kachuri. And Jericho is out across the 30. It's an old story by now, but these Panthers lost their top young receiver, Kelvin Benjamin, during the month of August. Their first-round pick last year had 1,000 yards as a rookie. Promising start. And then you think, well, Cam Newton doesn't have any weapons. What Cam Newton's doing is what the great ones do, and that's make everyone around them better. And they seem to have enough. Undefeated here in week 15 on first down. Aired out. Incomplete for Funchess. And he was double covered by Rodgers, Cromartie, and Craig Dahl.
Well, that's one of the things that Carolina does such a good job of. They run the ball so much, they get some one-on-one looks, and they block it up, and they're going to take their shots down the field. And a lot of people have punched holes in Cam Newton's game as far as a thrower goes, and he's been excellent. We pointed out to start this game, in the last 6 games, he's 17 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. He's continued to get better and has thrown the ball exceptionally well.
Here's Whitaker. Good play by Ayers. Been bothered by a bad neck. But he's already got at least half a sack in this game, and a nice play there, no gain.
Yeah, really well, because he's concerned about the quarterback and him keeping the ball, and he's got to be able to play him too. If Cam Newton keeps it, here's Ayers off the edge, and he hangs in there, and then he collapses on the play and makes a nice tackle.
3rd down and 10. To the sideline, broken up, and a good job as Olsen was the intended target, and Casillas got his hand in there.
Well, Steve Spagnuolo, when we were visiting with him, and you say, hey, what are you going to do to Greg Olsen? How are you going to slow him down? He says, we'd like to be able to put 2 defenders on him, but we've got to get him into passing downs in order to do that, because they're so concerned about the run game. They don't want to take people out of the ability to stop the run. 3rd down there, they double up on Olsen, and they're able to get off the field on 3rd down.
Olsen only 1 catch for 6 yards so far. Harris from inside the 30. Nowhere to go. So the Giants coming off that good second half effort at Miami last week in a big win. Playing well today against the undefeated Panthers.
Game is sponsored by Burger King. Now get 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49 only at BK.
The old stadiums the Giants called home. Great pictures in their practice facility, including the one of Giant Stadium where they played from 1976 through 2009. Now it's MetLife. Here's a toss to Jennings, breaking tackles. Jennings gets 9.
This has been a nice start for this Giants offense, and we've seen Eli with some time in the pocket. They've gotten the running game going a little bit. This offensive line has certainly had some challenges this year. They've got the rookie Eric Flowers out at left tackle. They've been moving some people around at times. Pat Flaherty, their offensive line coach, has really done a good job with this group.
Beckham started in the backfield, now in the slot. Pass is caught by Harris. Known as one of the real tough guys in this league, Dwayne Harris, as a punt returner, and now a much bigger part of the offense than anybody expected coming in.
Well, it impacted the Dallas Cowboys when he left and came here to New York as a return guy, but he came here because he was going to be given an opportunity to be a receiver, and he's had to be relied on more than they expected. He's been a nice addition to this Giants team. They start Beckham once again in the backfield. They move him out. The second receiver in right here.
Blitz by Finnegan off the edge. Pass is caught by Harris. A gain of 4. Kuechly on the stop, and on that play it was Finnegan across from Odell Beckham, and it was Finnegan who came on the blitz.
Yeah, they bring him off the edge. We've seen Josh Norman come on the blitz a couple times in this game already as well. See Eli Manning's numbers. Of course, the one drop would have certainly changed what those numbers looked like early in this ball game with the touchdown down the middle.
is to Jennings. Manageable third down coming up after a gain of 3 for the former Raider.
Well, the one thing I know Tom Coughlin really liked on Monday night was that there was balance in what they were doing. They just weren't having to rely on throwing the football, and that was going to be more important in this game against this Carolina defense. No way you could ask this offensive line to hold up if all you're doing is throwing, and they've shown great balance here in this first half.
Middle fly! Hey! Go 58, go 58, I'm going. Oh, you. All right, set.
On third down and 3, Manning. Pass caught, there's Harris, flag flies. And it's offensive pass interference is the call.
Pass interference, offense number 45. 10-yard penalty, third down.
Well, here he is, a tight end. That's Will Tye. Let's see what happens. Well, not a whole lot there. There's certainly contact between the two of them. It looked like maybe they thought he pushed. Maybe he did in order to create some separation. But it also looked like the linebacker was trying to peel off of him and go over the top. But boy, that's a tough penalty right there after hanging in the pocket and converting on a third down.
So now third down and 13, and this one comes out of the hand incomplete from Eli Manning. Let's say this about Odell Beckham. No catches. All the talk and hype about Beckham against Norman. Here's Beckham against Finnegan. We haven't seen a ton of Norman against Beckham because they keep putting Beckham in the slot, and Norman doesn't defend from that area.
Yeah, we kind of thought maybe he might in this one, but they've remained true to what they've done really throughout the season.
Booming punt by Wing into the end zone. And right now for Eli Manning, trying to figure out a way to get Odell Beckham involved in this offense. Tie game, under 6 to go, first half. Carolina Panthers have only 115 yards over 4 possessions. They've run 22 plays. 47 of those 115 came on one play, a run by Cam Newton. Set up their touchdown, a 3-yard throw to Ted Ginn.
Hey, Disco, out outside! Disco, out outside!
Newton, JPP brings him down. And how good must that feel for number 90? That's his first sack.
Well, initially they bring Ed Dixon across, and they anticipate that Newton will be able to get the ball to him prior to Jason Pierre-Paul making a play on Newton, but just nowhere really for Newton to go with the football. And that's a heck of a tackle for Jason Pierre-Paul on a guy that's very difficult to bring down in the open field.
Cameron Artis-Payne, the rookie running back. Collins able to drag him down on 2nd and 19. And for Jason Pierre-Paul, that was his first sack since December 28th of 2014. And this guy's been through a lot. The 4th of July fireworks accident, the big club on his right hand after losing his index finger and part of his thumb.
He's basically been playing with one arm. I mean, it's hard to get out there, and when you can't use that hand to push off and create separation and grab and shed defenders, it has been a real challenge on him. But I'll tell you, you watch him play since he came back, his effort's been outstanding. He's gotten better each week, and that was a great play.
Now third down and 11. Newton hit as he throws, and it's dropped by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. He was thinking touchdown before securing the interception, and it was thrown right into his gut. As Newton, a little banged up, he had bodies around him when he let that pass go.
Looks like it might be a shoulder of some kind. He's injured something, Joe, but there's pressure on the outside by Robert Ayers. There's pressure in the middle, Colin Jenkins, and for the Giants, they have missed too many opportunities in this first half against a team that hadn't lost all season long. You have to make that play. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
Like Colin Jenkins delivered the hit. Fair catch by Beckham. Able to get his hands on the football. Let's see who got him.
Well, Colin Jenkins comes right in the middle. That's the blow there to the chest that he was grabbing a hold of. That's why the ball came out a little funny, and Cam Newton going over the sidelines, they'll be checking him out, but they got pressure on him and failed to take advantage of what should have been an interception.
Well, and likely a touchdown. The Giants have 2 drops, one on offense, one on defense. It looked like sure touchdowns. Rodgers-Cromartie before him, Odell Beckham. Here is Jennings. Jennings out to the 49, gain of 7. Let's go back to that near pick. Katchery and Amukamara were jostling downfield. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie had one that he let get away.
Hey, easy. Bearcat. What are you doing, man? 5'9", 180. What's that?
2nd and 3, handoff to Jennings. They're ruling him down. Ball popped out. But they're ruling Jennings down. It'll be 3rd and about a yard, and now a flag. Justin Pugh was downfield as the return was happening, even though the play was dead, and they threw the flag on Pugh, who was pleading his case.
Roughness. 3rd down.
And they're going to pick it up.
Well, let's first take a look and see whether or not his knee was on the ground. It was close.
It didn't look like the knee was. I wasn't checking the right arm.
Yeah, his knee was not, and then it's a matter of, and Ron Rivera is going to challenge the call.
He is no stranger to that. He's challenged 11 times. He's 7 for 11 this year. That is by far the most challenges of any head coach.
Carolina's challenged that the runner was not down by contact prior to losing control of the football, and they recovered in the continuing action. Timeout.
It was a clear recovery. They wouldn't obviously get the return, but they could get the turnover. Here's the flag that they threw and then picked up. Interesting call. Big one. Panthers challenge. We'll get the call. We haven't seen anything on replay that says that Jennings was down. It's punched out by Charles Tillman. If this is a forced fumble, it'll be the 44th career forced fumble for Charles Tillman, his 11th career fumble recovery. Here's the call.
After the runner was not down before he lost control. It'll be Carolina's ball, 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line. Please set the game clock to 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
3rd fumble for Jennings this season, 2nd lost, and that's the 1st turnover of the game.
Yeah, you see Charles Tillman, who comes in, as you said, Joe, he's been so good at it throughout his career. Chicago and now here, and he comes in with a fist, and he just punches it out of there, and then he's able to recover the ball as well. Initially, it looked like, even though his knee wasn't on the ground, maybe his elbow was, but he was on a body, and that was a pretty easy call to make.
For Tillman, he had been inactive for 4 straight after hyperextending his knee on November 15th. That's a big turnover. Now Cameron Artis-Payne, the rookie running back and 5th-round pick out of Auburn, picks up 9, brought down by Cooper Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know that Cooper Taylor wants any more of that. Artis-Payne, he came in and he finished off that run and lowered the boom on Cooper Taylor.
He gets it again, right side, good play by J.T. Thomas. 3rd down and 1 coming up. So it's a game break from Mike Hill.
Vikings trying to hold on to that 6th seed in the NFC, trying to end a 2-game slide against Chicago. Teddy Bridgewater finds Jarrett McKinnon out of the backfield, and McKinnon does the rest. 17 yards for the score. His first career touchdown, 17-7 Vikings just before the half. Joe, Troy, back to you.
Mike, thanks. After the league best 34th takeaway for the Carolina defense, it'll be 3rd and 1. Cam Newton 8 for 9.
I like the quarterback sneak here.
He's going to flip it. Wide open Olsen. Olsen to the end zone for the touchdown. And this Carolina team, #1 in the NFL in points off takeaways. They add 6, maybe 7 more. All eyes on Newton, and Olsen gets behind the defense.
Well, it looked like Cooper Taylor. He's playing safety. He's a young guy. He's gotten more of an opportunity to play. He comes up, number 30, and he tries to play Cam Newton, and Olsen gets in behind it. But what a call by offensive coordinator Mike Shula. I really believe, Joe, that even if they had not have converted there, if it was 4th and 1, I think they'd go for it. So it's a good call on 3rd down to go play action.
It was a fumble by Rashad Jennings, forced by Charles Tillman. And then I don't know how you stop this. Newton pulls up, flips it for Olsen. And the Panthers back on top by 7. Cam Newton looking at the pictures on that Microsoft Surface tablet here at MetLife Stadium as the Giants will get it back. Time certainly left to do something about a 7-point deficit. They have the 2-minute warning to come, and 3 timeouts left, but down by 7. And Jason Pierre-Paul came awfully close, but over him and into the waiting arms of Greg Olsen.
It's just a well-designed route. It's 3rd and 1. You're expecting run, but somebody has to stay back there. It certainly looked like it was Cooper Taylor. And you look at this first half and what has happened, Joe. The Giants have had opportunities. They open up the game. They got a shot to Odell Beckham down the middle. He doesn't make the catch. We saw Dominique Rodgers drop the football on what would have been a touchdown as well. They get the 1 takeaway the Carolina Panthers do, and they capitalize.
Here is Andre Williams, and that will likely take us to the 2-minute warning. It's the Jersey guy, Greg Olsen, with a go-ahead touchdown from Wayne, New Jersey. It's a 14-7 Carolina lead with 2 minutes left in the half. Get apps, videos, and more at itunes.com/NFL. The first 2 years of his career, he has been at times unstoppable. At least 1 catch in the first half of all 25 of his career games. None so far today. Now lined up across from Charles Tillman. On 2nd and 7, pass is caught by Vereen, and he's a half-yard shy of a first down. 3rd down coming up. Davis and Kuechly, the 2 great linebackers for the Panthers, combined on that stop. Pass is incomplete on 3rd and 1 and not close to Vereen. And that was a 40-second drive that has to disappoint this crowd with the Giants down by 7.
Yeah, and you still had 3 timeouts, and 3rd and 1. You just want to make sure that you get a good call, and you're in that no huddle, and you had a chance. Just not a well-executed play there on 3rd down. Now they give the ball back to Carolina, who's going to have pretty decent field position with plenty of time, and they got 3 timeouts of their own. Not to mention, they start the second half with the ball as well.
A good punt here by Wing, and a good catch by Ginn. Big hit. And it was delivered by Casillas. What is coming up at halftime as we check in with Kurt Menefee?
The Visa halftime show is right around the corner, and so are the holidays. So here at Fox, some of the staff have been decking the halls to get in the spirit. But honestly, some people are taking it a bit too far.
Yeah, Coach Johnson, can I get back to work now?
Sit still, son. I'm almost done.
Say it.
Well,
say it.
Jimmy was notorious for not being into Christmas or giving presents, acknowledging birthdays, and so I was thinking, God, what's happened to him? But oh, Scrooge himself.
Pass is caught by Ginn. And now we'll see what Cam Newton and the Carolina offense can do. They've got plenty of time here. That one good for 19.
Yeah, and this is where Cam Newton is really, I don't want to say improved, but he has excelled in these situations, just in the no huddle, very comfortable. He's gotten much more comfortable each year.
Out of the backfield and out of bounds is Fozzie Whitaker. Second quarter has been a great quarter for the undefeated Carolina Panthers. Last 7 games outscored the opposition 88-5. 7-0 so far in this one.
Yeah, and that's not all 88 points from the offense either. You know, defense, when you look at the Carolina Panthers and being the #1 scoring team in the league, their defense has had a lot to do with that too.
Second down and 5. Passes through the hands of Funchess. With Rogers Cromartie on him, 3rd and 5.
That ball had a little heat on it. Or as our former broadcast partner Chris Collins would say, had a little mustard on it.
A little hum baby.
Yeah, a little hum baby.
They are in Philly tonight for a good one between Arizona and the Eagles. Al, Chris, Michelle, Fred Godelli. 3rd down and 5. Pressure. Jason Pierre-Paul can't make the tackle, and the pass is caught for a first down by Conchery. And the frustration for Jason Pierre-Paul. Got there, could not bring down Cam Newton right here. And Newton out to find Conchery for the first down.
Yeah, just no way you're going to be able to get Cam Newton down, you know, trying to make a grab on him there. You're just not able to get enough of him. And you know, we heard Michael Strahan earlier today say that Jason Pierre-Paul had put his weight back on from 240 pounds to 270 or so, and that's not much bigger than Cam Newton.
From the 41, first down, pass caught. Conchery again. He's inside the 30 with a first down. And Carolina takes their first timeout. How about miscues for the Giants today? They've had a couple big ones. It started early. First drive, and Odell Beckham had one in his hands and could have coasted for a touchdown. Passed behind Cunningham a bit, but dropped. A big hold on a punt return. The fumble by Jennings. Not pictured there. The drop on the near interception by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie.
Yeah, I mean, that's 17 points. You know, 17 points that the Giants have left out there, and right after the missed opportunity by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie for the interception pick 6 is when Carolina on 3rd and 1 hits Greg Olsen for the touchdown.
And even left, even left, even left, even left.
Blitz off the edge. Newton to the end zone. Broken up. Ginn the target. And Rodgers-Cromartie back there defending for the Giants.
Fozzie Whitaker does an excellent job of coming across the formation and picking up the rush. And once again, Carolina taking a shot down the field, and looked initially like Cromartie would have had an opportunity for an interception. This guy came in and knocked it loose.
Yeah, that was Collins, the rookie. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie already has 3 interceptions. Almost had one earlier, now 2nd and 10. Blitz again. Pass is caught by Olsen. who has the latest score. That one good for 3.
Well, the challenge that Steve Spagnuolo has as the defensive coordinator is they have a hard time generating a pass rush with just their front 4. We've seen Jason Pierre-Paul get close. He's made a play. But overall, they really struggle. So you got to start bringing people. And then when you bring them, man, it really creates some problems on the back end and one-on-one matchups. But that's been the story, really, for this defense all year.
Only 17 sacks this season, 1 today. Only the Falcons have fewer. Third down and 7. Blitz again. Pass is caught by Cotchery. Good catch. And Jericho Cotchery out of bounds at the 14.
Yeah, how about Jericho Cotchery? And you see the job this offensive line does up front. Here comes the blitz, and they pick it up and give Cam Newton some time in the pocket. A ball that's thrown behind Cotchery, and his adjustment to the football. It looks easy. He made it look easy. It's not that simple. Veteran guy who has really been a good player for this team.
Former Jet. Steeler as well. Pass caught by Funchess. And the rookie is in for the touchdown.
Well, Funchess is a guy who missed a lot of time in training camp. He was behind when the season began as a rookie, but he just keeps getting better and better and better as this season goes along. He runs a nice route against Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, and Cam Newton just lays it right on the money, and he goes out and just snatches it with his hands. That's a great job to finish off this first half.
How about the first half for Cam Newton now as the numbers pile up? 3 touchdowns to go with that big 47-yard run. He's got 31 touchdown passes on the year to go with just 10 picks. And it's 21-7. What a throw that was from Cam Newton.
That was absolute money. Cam Newton, he sees the coverage. They work the safety to the middle of the field. He knows he's one-on-one with Funchess against Rodgers-Cromartie. And you see Steve Spagnuolo knew it as well. And Cam Newton does an excellent job of just holding the safety there and coming right back where he had the shot. But he had to put the ball perfect position, and he does. Great job of finishing off this drive. Like I said, 15 seconds now left in this half, and they get the ball to start next half.
How about the last 2.5 games for Newton? 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. So he's getting better as the season goes on, and just watching him at the line of scrimmage, the calm, things have slowed down for him, and he's just getting better as the season is worn on. We've never seen him like this.
No, and I mean, he came out, obviously finished last year, and you know, where it really started to take off for him is when they allowed him to go no huddle at the line of scrimmage. It's something he really likes, and this year he's continued to play well. But like I said, each week he's playing his best football right now. Really, the team is, which is a pretty nice thing for Ron Rivera. You know, now you kind of wonder, Joe, as you know, if they win this game and Arizona loses and they clinch home field advantage throughout, you know, how's he going to play it down the stretch? I mean, this team is red hot right now, and then a couple weeks, you get another week off with the bye, and what does that look like? That's going to be the real challenge for Ron Rivera.
This January, the celebration begins as we kick off the farewell season of American Idol, the show that made superstars from Kelly to Carrie to Phillip, ready to discover an idol one last time. Don't miss the farewell season, premiering Wednesday, January 6th on Fox. Handoff to end the half to Andre Williams. This has been a season of what-ifs for the New York Giants. This has been a game of what-ifs and missed opportunities for the Giants, who are 6-7, while the Panthers are rolling 13-0. Leading by 14. Kurt and the guys coming up right now. Today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. Today's excitement brought to you by Nissan. Beautiful day in Jersey. The hometown fans not getting what they want so far as the Giants are up against it. 6 and 7 tied atop the division. Tiebreakers aren't going their way at the moment with a lot of head-to-head still left. Cam Newton 3 touchdown passes in that first half. Big story, a lot of hand fighting between Odell Beckham and Josh Norman. No catches for Beckham. And the rushing yards, Cam Newton 66 in the half, including 47 on one carry. Let's go down to the field and Aaron Andrews.
Joe, I spoke with Ron Rivera going into the half, and he said he felt like his offense really was in a lull in the middle of this game, and he felt like both sides of the ball, offense and defense, just got way too cute out there. He said for the offense, they felt like they really started to pick it up when they went into the no huddle. Now, both Tom Coughlin and Ron Rivera told me they both were going to discuss and did discuss with their team about the penalties and all the extra chit chat going on out there, and they both said this needs to stop, and it has to stop in the second half.
Let's see how the Panthers come out. First play from scrimmage, second half, and they run it with Cameron Artis-Payne. And he runs right into the arms of Jonathan Casillas. No gain.
If you're just tuning in and you heard that Odell Beckham did not have a catch in the first half, you'd say, wow, Josh Norman's really done a great job, and he certainly has. But, you know, a lot of those times, Josh Norman was not lined up on Odell Beckham. They move him in the slot, so really the entire defense did an outstanding job. And I think maybe some of the stuff that was taking place after the plays with Odell Beckham, you know, really got him out of his game.
Here's a toss to Cameron Artis-Payne. Good tackle by Collins. He might have saved a big play. A gain of 4. This was a big play in the first half. 7-7 game at the time, and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is thinking pick 6, and he does not secure the interception first.
Yeah, and that's one of the areas where the defense has been good this year is, you know, in the takeaway department, and boy, just a real missed opportunity would have completely changed the outlook of this game.
3rd down and 6. Blitz again. Pass is off the hands of Kachuri. Had him open. Pass a little behind him, and now Newton can't get up again. And if you want an entire season to change for the undefeated Carolina Panthers, it would, if anything were to happen, to number 1.
Well, I can guarantee you this is going to get Ron Rivera's attention, and see what happened at the end of that play. And that stepped on there by Ryan Khalil.
Looked like he banged into the knee as well.
No, they took him out. They took him out last week, Joe, in the 4th quarter with the big lead against Atlanta. I mean, clearly this game's got a lot left in it.
But there's nobody more valuable on any roster than Cam Newton, and he's in some pain on the sideline. Giants have it.
This game is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, no fares, nothing to hide.
Here's another look at Cam Newton on that incompletion to Kachuri, and you see Khalil back into the left knee of Newton while he stepped on him as well. Good starting field position for the Giants. They need something to happen here. Starting at the 40. Quick throw. Randall broke one tackle, got past, let's see who that is, Coleman, brought down with just a gain of 2, and during the break Newton was hobbling around, and the backup quarterback Derek Anderson starts to get loose. Second and 8. Manning unloads. Beckham incomplete, and Manning ends up on his belly. 3rd down and 8, and Beckham still no catches.
A shot to Odell Beckham down the middle. Charles Johnson, he's able to loop around. You see what Eli Manning sees. He had to unload it a little sooner than he wanted to. Not able to get enough on the throw, and just couldn't get it out there far enough.
Now Beckham across from Norman at the bottom. 3rd and 8. Manning Newton's arm was hit as he threw it, incomplete. Will Tye could have been the target. That is a 36-second drive for the Giants, who can't get anything going on offense now.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly happened, Joe. He had a clean pocket, and initially he's just trying to, pull it back, or was unsure of what he was seeing. But defense comes out, makes a nice stop, 3 and out, but the offense unable to get anything going.
Fair catch for Ginn. I thought Eli had his arm hit. You're right. Might have been trying to pull it back. Came out weird, incomplete. Now the eyes go to Newton, up 14. Now one of the last 4 possessions for the Giants has lasted a minute. Along with the producer to end all producers, Richie Zients, and the director to end all directors, Rich Russo. Back we go, 12:46 left, third quarter. Carolina up 14. Blitz again. Pass caught. Funchess barely able to hang on to the ball, but he's got a first down and a gain of 16.
I think Steve Spagnuolo just knows that he's got to be able to get to Cam Newton and disrupt the timing in the pocket, and it just opens some things up then, and Funchess is able to make a grab on the ball, almost puts it on the ground but makes the play.
Plenty of protection. Pass is caught by Corey Brown. That one good for 15. Here's Mike Hill with a game break.
Giants fans not liking that. Not liking this either. Skins taking care of the Buffalo Bills. Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Jackson, 77 yards on the score. His 6th career TD catch of at least 70 yards. He is explosive. That is undeniable, Joe Buck. 28-3 in the third.
Thank you, Mike. Well, Kirk Cousins is making money every week. The free agent to be, and the Redskins may have found their quarterback finally after the RG3 time has run out with Washington, and the Redskins are right on top of the division. They have the tiebreakers. They're the one team that has the destiny in their own hands in the NFC East.
Pretty incredible. You think about the way that the year began and all that was going on with the organization and Robert Griffin, and here they are.
This one is deep for Ginn. Dropped it. Amukamara got there late. Ginn spinning around, and he could not haul it in for the touchdown.
Well, one that you need to make, but in Ted Ginn's defense, double move opens him up, runs right past Amukamara, and just trying to make the catch and seeing Amukamara barreling down on you. But like I said, he's had a really nice year. He's had especially nice last couple of weeks. But as you see, the drop balls continue to plague Ted Ginn.
Now 3rd down and 8. Blitz comes late. Pass is caught. That's Ginn. And Ginn's got a first down inside the 35. They keep bringing pressure, and the Panthers able to block it up.
Well, the one thing we do know is Cam Newton is going to throw the ball to Ted Ginn, and he's not going to give up on him regardless of however many balls he drops in. And the 29 games that he's played with the Carolina Panthers coming into today, he had 13 receiving touchdowns.
Here's Olsen. Breaks a tackles, got another first down near the 20.
Joe, 13 receiving touchdowns coming into this game in 29 games played with the Carolina Panthers, and yet just 6 receiving touchdowns in 104 games everywhere else he's played. So he wanted to come to Carolina and be used as a receiver, and Cam Newton has turned him into one, and he just continues to have trust in him.
Here's one for Brown. Touchdown. Corey Brown in the 4th of the day for Cam Newton. And I guess the knee's okay.
Knee's okay, and another double move, this time on Tremaine McBride. And Corey Brown, like we saw on the other side with Ted Ginn, you're going to see the move that he makes. Starts to the slant, up the field, the old sluggo route. It's touchdown Carolina.
Touchdown for Corey Brown, who missed 2 games with a bad shoulder. That's his 4th of the season and the 4th of the day.
Cam Newton has done an excellent job of spreading the ball around in this ball game.
It's the 4th of the day for Newton. They play the replay on the board here. They've already okayed the touchdown. And fans here are watching the replay thinking that ball may have moved when Brown hit the ground. But the touchdown stands. It's a 21-point lead for the undefeated Carolina Panthers. Cam Newton, what a year. And it's just getting better and better and better. Does he have fun on Sundays or what?
This game is sponsored by the new 2016 Ford Escape. Be unstoppable.
Dwayne Harris is waiting for the kick in what is now a 21-point game. A ton of time left for the Giants to do something about it, but offensively they've got to get something going here now. As we welcome you inside the broadcast booth, I'm Joe Buck along with the Hall of Famer Troy Aikman, and we've seen the Carolina Panthers at different stops during the course of the year. I don't see anybody that's equipped to stop them right now offensively. Combine that with a defense, you know why they're undefeated.
Yeah, they've been good defensively all season long, and their defense was carrying their offense at times. They'd run the ball well, but they'd miss some plays down the field, and the offense keeps playing better and better. And now, you know, their defense is equal, and there's not a hotter team in the NFC, and really in the league. When you look around at this league and what other teams have, they're as solid as anyone across the board.
There's only been 1 turnover in this game, and it was a fumble by Rashad Jennings. It was forced by Charles Tillman, who Ron Rivera had in Chicago when Rivera was the defensive coordinator for a Super Bowl contending team back in 2006. And that was a year the Bears led the league in takeaways. And Tillman was a big part of that. 2nd down and 7.
Bearcat.
Good hard run by Jennings right into the chest of Thompson and Kuechly, but this crowd wants to see something down the field by Eli Manning, a gain of 4.
You know, as I talked about earlier, Joe, the challenge that Ron Rivera is going to have is, you know, if they're able to lock up home field advantage and how he's going to handle that. And he acknowledged as much yesterday when we visited with him. And, you know, he's seeking advice from other coaches, other players, his current players. He's going to talk about it and try to figure it out. Wants to be healthy and, you know, at their best going into the postseason. That's hard sometimes to manage.
Here's Randall. Survives a hit by Norman, but he stopped well short of the 1st down. In fact, lost yardage, and a flag is down. It's like offensive pass interference against the Giants.
Pass interference, offense number 13. Penalties decline, 4th down.
They get Odell Beckham there. There's contact before the ball's left the quarterback's hands, and he continues to block as the play progresses. But you know, you get into this type of situation, you're down 21 points, and it becomes a feeding frenzy for this Carolina defense.
Well, they run it on the first 2 plays, complete a short pass, then loses yardage, another 3 and out. Here's Ginn. Ginn with a big return. Wing, the punter, slows him down. And Wing's teammates get there. Darkwa on the stop. And every phase of the game working now for the Carolina Panthers, who are rolling in the Meadowlands, up 21.
This game is sponsored by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL.
The Carolina Panthers take over with the ball inside the 40 at the 37, leading by 21. And Cam Newton has spread the fun around.
Disco, even truck. Disco, even truck.
Cameron Artis Payne, nothing. Jasper Brinkley in on the tackle, and Odell Beckham is talking with his position coach Sean Ryan on the sideline. He had the early drop by Beckham, and then it seemed like the mental game was won by Josh Norman early as Beckham was just thrown off.
You just think about the opportunities that this Giants team has not capitalized on, starting with Odell Beckham.
High throw, good catch by Cameron Artis-Payne. Stays in bounds and will take it near the 16. He went around. JT Thomas picks up 20.
Well, missed tackles have been a bit of an issue for the Giants, and they miss a couple again here on Cameron Artis-Payne, who's getting his opportunity because of the injury to Jonathan Stewart. Artis-Payne has been inactive each of the last 6 games, and I know they were looking forward to getting him into the mix and kind of seeing what he was able to do.
Blitz comes late. End zone, Funchess incomplete. Coverage by Amukamara.
You spoke earlier, Joe, about the weapons that Cam Newton has, and it's been a question that has been asked of me this year as to whether or not, without Kelvin Benjamin, who they've been without all season, but Ted Ginn and, Greg Olsen at tight end, do they have enough? And the answer to that, in my opinion, is clearly yes. Great defense, but they are able to get the ball down the field and they create big plays. And I think Mike Shula deserves a lot of credit for that in the way that he's able to mirror some of the passing game and the play action off of what they do in the run game.
Protection again. Pass is caught. Brown looking for the end zone down to the 1. Had a touchdown last time he caught it. His 4th of the year, and he sets up 1st and goal. This one good for 16.
Well, Corey Brown was on a nice little run earlier in the season. He missed some time as well, and that's when Devin Funchess came in and he got going. And you just wonder right now if Ron Rivera, if the Carolina Panthers do score a touchdown here, if this will be the end of the day for Cam Newton. Able to go up 28 points and then rely on that defense. Those are the decisions you got to start to address.
Play action. Newton is going to go down with Robert Ayers right there for the Giants. And down 21 points, the sack celebration from Ayers, 2nd and goal.
Yeah, but nice work by Cam Newton. It looked initially like he was going to get blown up because Ayers was barreling down on his backside, and Cam's got that 6th sense. He's felt him coming and was able to protect himself and not take the big shot.
A loss of 13. Second and goal. Pass is broken up. Amukamara with Funchess the target. 3rd and goal. Newton still, whether it's the chest or the left shoulder, he got popped by Cullen Jenkins earlier in the game. The numbers wouldn't tell you he's struggling with anything, but he got hit by Michael Orr as Jenkins turned him around.
Yeah, he's going to leave this game. He's going to be pretty sore with the shot there to the chest, and as you said, the knee, it's going to be even more sore in the morning. And I think he's sore anyway because of the punishment he takes as a runner.
Timeout with the play clock winding down. Obviously big-bodied. 6'4", 245. That's how they list him. NFC playoff picture right now. It's the Redskins on top in the NFC East and winning big today over Buffalo. Green Bay leading the North. Cardinals have clinched a berth, trying to win their 12th game for the first time in franchise history. They're in Philadelphia tonight. The Carolina Panthers are looking at 14-0 with Seattle and Minnesota in good position in that playoff snapshot.
Well, that's going to be a fun division as we move through the next few weeks. The NFC North with the Packers and the Vikings. But how about Seattle? I mean, they're red hot. And you talk about a hot quarterback. Russell Wilson has been on fire here the last month of the season. I think it's, what, 16 touchdowns or something with no interceptions?
It's been incredible. Best we've seen Wilson. This is the best we've seen Newton. 3rd down and goal. Wide receiver screen, and it's Ginn for the touchdown. He had Olsen and Orr out in front of him. And Ginn has the 5th touchdown catch of the day for Carolina. What a day for number 1.
You know, and I like seeing Cam Newton continue to have fun out there and dance. I mean, I think it's all in good fun. He's not, you know, making fun of any opponent. I think he's been awfully good for the game this year in the way that he's been able to celebrate and enjoy the wins that they've been able to accumulate. But Ted Ginn, he takes advantage of some of his return skills and sets up the blockers and is able to punch it in for the touchdown.
That's his 2nd of the day.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 19 of the offense, illegal demonstration. 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
So they get Ginn for the celebration. You can see the frustration all over the face of Cullen Jenkins and this defense as they're now getting picked apart. Cam Newton this year has 40 touchdowns between throwing it and running it. And for the 3rd time in the last 5 games, Cam Newton has a 5-touchdown pass game. Nobody is playing this game any better than Cam Newton, who's making friends every weekend. Get the feeling Cam Newton is finished for the day with the ice on the left knee. We saw that get hyperextended when his center Khalil backed into him. Look at this day for Cam Newton. Earlier in the year, we're talking about MVP for Cam Newton, and the common refrain was, well, he may not have the flashy stats, but nobody's more valuable to their team than Cam Newton. Well, now he's got the flashy stats. Last 8 games, 24 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Here's Dwayne Harris. What a hit. Wow. That was Shaq Thompson, the rookie. And he put Dwayne Harris on his back.
Well, I'm glad to see Dwayne Harris get up after this one. This is a pretty big hit right there. You don't see him like that very often, and you wondered whether or not Dwayne Harris would be able to get off the turf, and fortunately he was. They'll be checking him out, I'm quite certain, on the sidelines.
The initial hit was helmet to helmet. We talked about how tough he is. Regarded as one of the tougher guys in the NFL. Down by 28. Here is Beckham. He's got his first catch of the day. And now Norman gets on top of him at the end of it and has a little extra for Beckham.
I want to go back to what you were talking about, Joe, with Cam Newton, is, you know, far as being the league MVP. And I think Tom Brady's had a heck of a season without some key guys. But I don't know, when you're the quarterback and you've done as much as he has for an undefeated team, I don't know how it could be anybody other than Cam Newton.
Either ruled a catch and a fumble, or they didn't see it. No sense in challenging into the scoreboard. Reading a 28-point advantage for Carolina. But that ball came out after the catch by Beckham. Here is an 8-yarder by Jennings for a first down. Jennings again. Jennings frustrated. He didn't break that. A gain of 6.
I think Ben McAdoo, the offensive coordinator, we've seen him run the football a couple times, and you know, knowing that they just can't get to where they're completely going to throw it each and every down, and they got to do whatever they can, even down 28 points. Just go down and get the first touchdown and see what happens from there.
Middle.
118.
Here's Ty, the tight end. Davis drives him out. And here's Kurt Menefee with the game break.
Well, Giants fans will need Washington to lose the way this game is going, it looks like. Tyrod Taylor trying to help out Buffalo's quarterback, picking up with Sammy Watkins. 48-yard score makes it a little bit closer. It's 28-17 right now. Washington, though, still on top, Joe.
Here's a 3rd down and 2 pass incomplete to Will Tye. And with the punt team coming out, it's Eli Manning who says stay on the sideline. It's 4th down and 2.
Yeah, I can't imagine there haven't been really any kind of decision on this. Now 28 points. I don't think there's any choice other than go for it.
118.
Beckham with a 1st down catch. And he is thrown to the ground by Norman. And there they go again. And there is a flag. Early on, after just about every play, this stuff was going on, and now they throw a flag on it.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Offense number 13. 15-yard penalty. That'll be 1st and 10 after enforcement.
Grab the left leg of Josh Norman. And that gets the flag. They already got the 1st down. All it does is cost field position. 1st and 10.
And I'm probably speaking for most of the country. Just tired of watching it.
We've just not really seen this from Odell Beckham. In the 2 years we've seen his brilliant career begin in the NFL, this one thrown away. And Newton caught that ball on the sideline and then took off. There's a day for Odell Beckham. And there was the early one with Norman. Then the drop on what was sure a touchdown pass from Eli Manning, and then a lot of frustration and some shots fired at the end of plays by Beckham. He's got 2 catches, 8 yards, and 2 personal fouls called against him, and this is just ugly.
False start. Offense number 19. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
It's on Miles White. Aaron, what are you seeing down there?
Well, I had talked to Tom Coughlin about Odell Beckham coming out of the half and his frustrations, and Coach Coughlin had said to me, whatever his problem is, he needs to figure it out. We've got a lot of formations. We can help him out. I asked him about the drop pass in that first series that could have been a touchdown. Is that affecting him? Is that why he's frustrated? Coach Coughlin nodded, smiled, and said, yeah, don't you think so?
Here is 2nd and 15. Handoff is to Vereen, able to stay upright and picks up a 1st down. And there's Beckham again. What is going on? Have you seen a guy this thrown off his game before?
They ought to throw him out of the game, Joe, and they just might.
I mean, he's out of control.
Well, he's hurting his football team. He hurt him dropping the ball, and now he's hurt him with, multiple penalties already. We'll see what this flag is for.
He came flying in at the end of that play.
Yeah, and Tom Coughlin, he's not normally a coach that tolerates this either, so I would expect him to take action too.
And Norman is.
Well, they've been trying to calm him down each and every time.
Fouls on each team. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Offense number 13. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 24. The penalty's offset at the dead ball spot. 1st down.
So it's called against both, and Norman is trying to get calmed down. Watch the end of this play. That's not it. It's here. And they go head to head. Then Norman gets in with a knee into the head of Odell Beckham.
Well, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing for Odell Beckham. It's embarrassing for the Giants. There's a shot. I mean, Josh Norman has owned him in this game, and when he hasn't been on him, someone else has. They haven't gotten him the football. How many personal fouls do you have to have before somebody does something?
He's got 3. Here's Vereen. Mike Pereira, we talked about this early. This thing has been ugly by Odell Beckham. Look at this.
I don't think it can get much, I don't think it can get much uglier. And I think, Troy, I think you're right. I do think it's time to eject people because you've proven here that flags aren't doing the trick. There's no maximum amount of penalties that can get you ejected. But to me, to keep control of this game at this score, I think it's time to throw people.
There they go again. Penalty flag is down. Here's Miles White. Beckham is so off his game, he's not even running routes. He's coming off the ball trying to take Norman's head off.
Yeah, he's just clapping because he thinks they're finally going to call Josh Norman for something, but this looked like it was within, of course they go hands to the face, is probably where they're going to get him, but it was within the 5 yards.
I'm throwing this one on Norman.
Yeah, and the flag came in. I mean, they're watching it, but.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 24. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
And now Norman's getting into it with fans behind the Carolina bench.
Well, I'm just surprised that there really has not been an ejection of some kind. This just doesn't look good for our game. Unbelievable.
And it's gone on basically from
that shot that Odell Beckham that we showed, the helmet to the side. I mean, you break jaws with hits like that. I mean, that was a big time blow. And
it was the next play that Norman came after Beckham. Hard to blame him. Here is a pass for Ty that's incomplete. Now a couple of the linemen shove each other, and you wonder if that'll end up getting a fine from Odell Beckham when you talk about going literally head-to-head, helmet-to-helmet right there on Josh Norman.
Yeah, you end players' careers with hits like that. That's a big time blow. I don't get it.
2nd and 10. Pass is caught by Beckham, sliding down with under 2 to go in the 3rd quarter. We still have a long way to go in this game, and it's not trending well between 13 and 24. There was talk during the week about Beckham and the cleats that he's wearing. Was it a shot at Josh Norman? He calls himself Batman, or likes to use that nickname, and Beckham was wearing Joker cleats. That was last week. Here's a pass caught by Ty for the touchdown. And Finnegan's trying to avoid getting into it with Beckham as Ty makes a nice catch and has back-to-back weeks with a touchdown as he breaks the plane of the goal line.
Well, he really does. That's a good grab on his part. And how about Will Tye, one of the most unlikely of guys to be able to contribute the way that he has in recent weeks, but injuries has given him an opportunity. He's become one of Eli's favorite guys to throw the ball to.
35-14 is the score. Talked about the Joker cleats that Beckham was wearing last week. Well, today during warm-ups, he had presents on top of the laces that had a button on them that when he hit the button, they would light up. And then on the other side was Cam Newton with a Green Lantern shirt on. And now this time it was Beckham and Finnegan who got into it. And back to the sideline. That's Sean Ryan, as we said, the wide receivers coach. I am shocked that Tom Coughlin is not a part of that conversation. Meanwhile, Josh Norman he's trying to get calmed down, but I'll tell you, after the shot that he took to the head from Beckham, how do you blame a guy for being upset?
Yeah, you don't at all. I mean, he clearly wants to retaliate after that kind of blow, and you know, as we pointed out, it looked like the very first play, the first time it happened, it was Norman who initiated it, and then after that, they've all been pretty much, you know, on Odell Beckham, except for the one penalty that we saw on Josh Norman. That was after he got earholed by Beckham, and I'm with you, Joe, that, you know, we both think a lot of Tom Coughlin and the way that he runs a program, and I'm just really surprised, you know, that he hasn't done more, you know, with Odell Beckham.
There's a little pop-up kick trying to find a void on the field, and Dixon, a good play to get back and catch it over his shoulder. As Carolina will take over with 1:13 to go. We had a chance to visit with Odell Beckham yesterday. Just a really engaging guy. Somebody who talked about when he came in last year, he had the hamstring problem. He missed the first 4 games, just took over in the final 12 games of the season. Said he's aware of the stereotype of the wide receiver. Got a great relationship with Eli Manning, and this just from the beginning it seems so out of character.
Yeah, he was so mild-mannered, but he also told us that he believes that over the course of a 60-minute ball game, his opportunities are going to present themselves, and it would appear that they didn't here in this game up to this point, but they really did. It was on the early in the game with the touchdown down the middle if he catches it, but hasn't gotten much after that.
Here's Cameron Artis-Payne on the carry left side. Newton stays in there. You don't expect Newton to have to do much, but hand it off here as the third quarter is under a minute left.
Well, I'm with you. When you're on the sidelines and you're getting ice on your knee, that's a clear indicator that your day is done. But with the Giants going down and coming away with the touchdown, I wouldn't expect to see Cam being able to run too much. That knee's got to be pretty stiff about now.
Again, left side, Cameron Artis-Payne. And that should end the third quarter. Talked about the numbers for Cam Newton. The last 3 games, including this one, 13 touchdowns, 1 pick. Over the last 6 games, he's been on fire and came in with the second best quarterback rating in the NFL to Russell Wilson. And he and the undefeated Carolina Panthers lead it 35-14 going into the final quarter here at MetLife Stadium. Back after this from your local Fox station. 35-14 Carolina on their way to a 14-0 start. They set up inside their own 30 with a 3rd and 3. Pass is broken up. Funchess the target with Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie defending 4th down. And for more on what's going on with Odell Beckham, down we go to Aaron.
Well, when he returned to the sideline, Joe, as we saw, his position coach Sean Ryan grabbed him, gave him a talking to, and then he walked over and started apologizing to his teammates. After that talking to, though, Joe, I watched him just have kind of a mini meltdown on the sideline. Started screaming, "We're getting our tails kicked and no one cares." He was walking around kind of talking to himself, and that's, of course, when he went over to his teammates and said, my bad, this is on me."
Here's Beckham back for the punt. Crosses the 30, good return. Brought down by Ed Dixon. Here is more of the video from the day for Odell Beckham. All the talk, and you obviously can't turn on a television that has anything to do with sports during the course of the week and not see something on this matchup between Beckham. The numbers are unbelievable. First 25 games of his career, they're better than anybody's. Well, but Norman's played great.
Yeah, he has. 2 great players and a great battle coming into this game, and it's just really disappointing that it turned into what it did. Both these guys are better than that.
Here's Jennings, goes nowhere. Look at the numbers for Josh Norman, who is at least in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year against the top wide receivers this season. And you know certainly better than I what a luxury it is to have a guy that can clamp down the other side's best.
I mean, you can't discount, what that means to a defense and freeing up other guys to do so much.
Here's Randall with a catch as he finds a hole in the defense.
You think about defensively, Defensive Player of the Year. And Josh Norman, as you said, certainly in that conversation, and his teammate Luke Kuechly's in that conversation. And which one would you vote on between those 2 guys? And then, of course, you got J.J. Watt. But I believe that when you look at the season again, similar to what I made with Cam Newton, that the Defensive Player of the Year will come from this team.
Here's Jennings on first down after a 20-yarder to Randall. He gets 8, brought down by Coleman.
And I guess, Joe, to answer that question that I just posed, you know, I know what a great corner means, and I know how good this guy has been. But Luke Kuechly, the quarterback of this defense, would be a hard one for me not to vote for.
Jennings has got a first down and a touchdown. And this one isn't over yet.
Yeah, it's a long way from being over, Joe, with over 13 minutes still left to play. And you're going to see the job that the offensive line does, and Rashad Jennings, he hits it, and there's just nobody there once he gets past. Luke Kuechly had come up from the inside position there at linebacker. Touchdown Giants.
38 yards a season long for Rashad Jennings, as the Giants get just their 4th rushing touchdown of the season. Only the Chargers have fewer. And a flag is down in what is now a 14-point game, depending on the call. It's against Carolina on an offside. Terry McCauley over to get the decision from Tom Coughlin, how he wants this penalty assessed.
Offside, defense number 58. 5-yard penalty to be assessed on the kickoff. The point's good.
No decision to be made there, as this is now a 14-point game. Giants making noise here late. A lot of time left.
Game is sponsored by Burger King. Now get 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49 only at BK.
Aerial coverage provided by Nationwide. This crowd has thinned out a little bit, but anybody headed for the exits may have made a U-turn after back-to-back touchdowns by the Giants. The latest on a long run by Jennings. On the return out across the 20 is Fozzie Whitaker, brought down by Darkwa. A return of 17 yards. And now Carolina's in a position where they have to try and start moving the football again.
Yeah, they'll go back to running their offense, and realizing with the Giants coming away with a couple touchdowns now and a 2-possession ball game with over 13 minutes to play, and it's back to business for Cam Newton.
Ted Ginn, you see the numbers there. He is out with a rib injury on the sideline. Looks like he's getting anxious over there, but at least starting this drive, standing next to his position coach, Ricky Prohl. Setting up a screen. Whitaker. Cameron Artis-Payne on the catch and run. And he is out to the 36. First down. You mentioned Mike Shula. I thought it was interesting when Ron Rivera, head coach of the Panthers, said when Shula gets on a roll, on the headset line, everybody's just quiet. And Shula just gets into a rhythm, and he's done such a good job of calling the plays for this offense.
Yeah, a very underrated job, you know, I believe, because, you know, nobody really talks much about the teams that run the ball well and what a good job their play caller has done, but they're saying it now with the success they've had throwing the football.
Artis-Payne gets a hole left side and breaks out. Down inside the 40, and he's had a nice game today. The rookie gets 26.
Well, the offensive line, Ryan Khalil, the center, he kicks out. You're going to see there, and Trey Turner, their right guard, and look at the hole that he has to run through. I mean, he's 20 yards downfield before he even gets touched.
And Ryan Khalil requires some attention after delivering that block. The 4-time Pro Bowl center is down on a knee. Right now, the only thing that looks like could derail the Carolina Panthers would be injury. And this is the heart and soul of that offensive line.
He sure is. He missed a game earlier in the season, but he does so much as all these centers do that are a part of these great offensive lines.
Take a break. Doesn't appear to be anything with the lower body of Ryan Khalil. We'll show it to you in a moment. He took a helmet-to-helmet hit on the block. As Fernando Velasco, who made a start at center against Indianapolis earlier in the year, takes over. Giants defense trying to figure out a way to stop this offense as they trail by 14. Here's Cameron Artis-Payne. Got a couple over the left side. Let's go back to Ryan Khalil. And that helmet-to-helmet hit on the block.
Well, you see as Khalil pulls out, and Jonathan Casillas is helmet-to-helmet there, and the way that he staggers at the end of this play, it looked like, you know, maybe he suffered a concussion, but the treatment he was getting on the sidelines there, it appeared to be more of a neck issue as opposed to concussion. We'll keep an eye on it and see whether or not he returns.
Still Velasco in there on 2nd and 8. No pressure on Newton. Pass is out of the reach of Corey Brown. 3rd down and 8. And Khalil, one of the best in the game, is going to come back in at center.
He really is one of the best in the game, as you said. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, and you know those guys at the center position, they direct what's happening around them with those other 4 guys and help set protection for the quarterback, and they're invaluable.
Ginn back out there as well. 3rd down and 8. Newton's going to take it and pick it up. Unstoppable when he drops back, sees an alley, and just takes off.
Well, I laugh just because it was just not too long ago he was on the sidelines icing down his knee. And here on a 3rd and long, and they call the run for Cam Newton, and they don't like him taking hits, but they're not going to keep from doing some of the things that he does best. And we talked to him a few weeks ago when we were in Carolina about, you know, whether you slide and how you go about doing that. He's always said he's liked going head first, and he did there, but at least he got to the ground and did not take a hit.
And now timeout called on the field is Nikita Whitlock, who is a fullback / defensive lineman. Needs help getting to the sideline. You can see Newton when he's coming over limping a bit. We saw Newton take that hit to the helmet in the game we did in New Orleans when he was kind of coasting toward the end zone. Took a hit to the legs in that game as well, but he's been able to bounce back. He's got the Panthers well within field goal range for Gano, as they have a 1st down at the Giants 21. So the Giants needed to make a stop, and the Panthers offense is taking it right through them so far. Cameron Artis-Payne is spun around as they had Greg Olsen lined up as fullback on that play, game 2.
This Carolina offense, you know, really just kind of seems like they toy with you a little bit. You know, I mean, they get out, they score 35 points, and the Giants come back with a couple touchdowns, and oh, okay, well, let's get back out there and let's go down and come away with some points of our own, and you know, recapture that lead we had, and off they go.
2nd down and 8. What a catch by Olsen. Minimal gain, but a nice one-handed, left-handed grab. Good for 3.
Yeah, I think that gets lost a little bit with this Carolina team, is how good these receivers have been at making tough catches. Now, this is a great catch by Greg Olsen, and they're probably not undefeated if he doesn't make a great catch a few weeks ago in that game at New Orleans on 4th down. But not just Olsen, but Ted Ginn he's dropped some, but he's made some tough catches, and Cotchery has. They do a good job there.
Third 300-yard passing day of the season for Cam Newton to go with his 5 touchdowns. This one is incomplete. Ginn, the target. And that'll make it 4th down as the field goal unit comes on. And a good field goal here will make it a 3-score game. And how about this late action on the hit by Ayers down low,
right on that left knee,
and no flag.
Yeah, no flag. And that's unusual too. And on the same knee that he, looked like he may have hyperextended a little bit earlier in the game.
34-yard try, and it's blocked. Live ball. Rogers Cromartie got to it, blocked it, picked up by the Giants. Rogers Cromartie blocked it, and Amuka Merrick comes away with a recovery.
Well, Rogers Cromartie, he comes off the edge tight with great speed here, and he's able to lay out. Excellent work by him, and what a change of momentum here in this ball game, setting the Giants up offensively at midfield.
That was to make it a 3-score game. Now it's a 14-point game with basically 9 minutes left. What does Eli have in store? Out of the backfield, it's Shane Vereen. Forced out by Davis. A gain of 5.
Well, we'll see what Ben McAdoo wants to do as the offensive coordinator and play caller. A lot of times on a dramatic change of momentum, you take a shot down the field. We'll see what he does here on 2nd down.
Welcome in a new audience. That's Will Tye, the tight end, as this game is turned around completely. This was all Carolina, as this one's good for 20 yards to Will Tye.
And this was not an easy catch to make, but Will Tye, he adjusts to the football once again and makes a play on it.
The Giants trailed 35-7 in the 3rd quarter. Here is Beckham. And if you're just joining us, Beckham's been a big story. But not for the reasons he would like. Here's the blocked field goal by Dominique Rogers Cromartie that came just moments ago as Carolina was trying to make it a 3-score game. 2nd down here.
The Giants got them on their heels right now.
Manning. This one is picked off by Tillman. Nix fell down. And Eli Manning has just thrown his 11th interception of the season. Don't know if it was tipped or not by K'Wan Short, but he was right in his face. And Tillman is there for the Panthers for the pick.
Today's game is sponsored by K Jewelers. Every kiss begins with K.
The momentum that had just flipped and gone in favor of the Giants goes back with their 2nd turnover of the game. Rashad Jennings fumble. Now Eli Manning with an interception. His arm was hit when he let it fly, and Nix fell down in the end zone. From the 20, handoff is to Artis Payne. JT Thomas was in there for the stop with Hughes, and here's the pressure.
Well, K'Wan Short, he gets Eli's arm as he's throwing it, but Eli just trying to avoid a sack. He's really just throwing it up. That took a little bit of something off the ball. It's one-on-one on the outside. Hakeem Nicks is trying to keep it alive. He falls down once the ball was in flight. Easy interception for Charles Tillman, and a opportunity lost when everything seemed to be going in the Giants' favor at the moment. But a Carolina defense that capitalizes on opportunities leads the NFL with now 22 interceptions.
The ball's out. Recovered by the Giants and Kerry Wynn. First turnover by Carolina in the game. And that read option comes back to bite the Panthers here.
Well, it bites them, I believe, because Cameron Artis-Payne is a rookie. He hasn't played in 6 weeks, and so he doesn't know how that feels exactly. Cam Newton trying to leave it in his pouch. He anticipates Newton pulling it and keeping it. The result is the ball on the ground, and it puts the Giants back in business.
That's what the Panthers have avoided for the most part all season. Fewest fumbles in the NFL this year. That's only their 9th. 6 lost.
118. What's that?
First down from the 14. Here is Jennings. And that's K'Wan Short making the play. K'Wan Short, one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL, number 99.
He's been amazing. I mean, a guy in the middle, a defensive tackle who has 9 sacks on the year, plays the run well, and he can get after the quarterback. We saw what he did to Eli on the interception.
The season could be hanging there for the Giants right here. 2nd and 8. Dropped off. Vereen looking for a block. He gets popped. That was Coleman up to make that big hit. It'll bring up 3rd down, a gain of 6 there. And the Giants keep the pedal down as they get right back to the line of scrimmage. Under 6 to play.
Keep an eye on Beckham. He's right here in the slot.
Down at 58. You're looking at him to the right. 118. Right, set.
Pass caught. Vereen. Touchdown. Beckham.
Put Odell Beckham in the slot, as we pointed out, and you can see as he runs his route, he draws Roman Harper over towards him as well, and then Shane Vereen, he works from the backfield into that spot. There's a zone, there's a void in that zone, and they exploit it.
It is a 7-point game. Carolina led this game by 28 points with under 1:30 left in the 3rd quarter. The lead is 7. With an undefeated season on the line for Carolina. What a game.
This night ain't for the faint of heart, for the faint of heart, for the faint of heart. This night ain't for the faint of heart, 'cause the faint of heart gon' fall apart.
What a turnaround this has been. The New York Giants have scored 21 straight and now trailed by just 7. Start of the day tied atop the NFC East, but the tiebreaker's not in their favor. A record of 6-7. Carolina was up by 28 points, coasting their way to a 14-0 start. Now they lead by 7, and this is Joe Webb. Gets popped by Dwayne Harris first, and then Webb wrestled to the ground by James Morris. And we'll go back to the touchdown to Shane Vereen.
Yeah, you're going to see Thomas Davis right here. It looks like he's maybe matched up on Shane Vereen, anticipating that Vereen was going to block, but as Vereen comes out into his route, he gets turned loose, and eyes were elsewhere, and that's why he was able to be as open as he was. But credit Eli Manning and this offense for taking advantage of the second opportunity after the interception, the fumbled ball by the Panthers. They're able to close the gap to 7 points. We'll see now what Carolina's able to do.
Now Carolina trying to move the ball against the Giants defense. No Jonathan Stewart in this game today. A sprained foot. Ayers chasing down Newton, who throws it away. 13-0 teams in their 14th game of the season. The 72 Dolphins won. The 2007 Patriots won against the Giants. The Giants had the last laugh with a win in the Super Bowl. The 09 Colts won. The 98 Denver Broncos lost to the Giants. The 05 Colts lost. The 09 Saints. The 2011 Packers. Green Bay. That season when Aaron Rodgers was the MVP, and now movement.
False start. Offense number 74. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's the right tackle, Mike Remmers, who's had a good year.
Yeah, he has had a good year. This entire offense has, and now they're going to add 5 more yards to this. 2nd and 15, and we'll see if this defense is able to make a stop. Give the ball back to this Giants offense.
The undefeated Panthers leading by 7. Newton's going to take off. Getting a block on the outside, and Newton's flipped by Amukamara. 3rd down coming up.
Well, Steve Spagnuolo brings the blitz again. Trevin Wade, number 31, is on the blitz, but when you go man coverage like that, nobody then is accounting for Cam Newton, and the corners aren't looking at him. So that was a pretty good gain there to make this at least a more manageable 3rd down.
3rd and 7. Newton has it batted down. Jason Pierre-Paul.
Jason Pierre-Paul, he's not able to get there. He gets that big club up in the air, and he's able to knock it down, and not much time taken off the clock by Carolina, forcing the 3 and out. Plenty of time for this Giants offense.
Beckham waiting for the punt by Nortman. And it's a good one. Fair catch. Called in inside the 35. Mentioned 1998, and the Giants took care of the Broncos under Jim Fossil. Fossil and his crew derailed a train of glory. Headline in the New York Times. Visions of 14-0. Denver lost its focus in the Times. And Denver fails to answer a late touchdown grab. That from USA Today. And Tom Coughlin, they're backed up. We talked about it coming in. He and they are usually at their best with the season on the line, and it is very much on the line right now. Down 7. Finnegan creeping in, coming on a blitz. This is Vereen, who just had a touchdown. And Shane Vereen is able to pick up 2.5. Kuechly on the tackle.
I don't know that Shane Vereen likes that play too much. He catches a swing pass, and there's no lead blockers, and he's got 2 or 3 Carolina Panthers right in front of him. Somehow he's got to try to make miss.
Including a guy named Kuechly, who has 14 tackles in the game. 2nd and 7. Jennings back in there.
Good luck on that.
Easy, JJ. JJ. 118.
Manning on 2nd and 7's going to carry. And he gets hit up high by Kuechly. No flag. As Kuechly got Manning up around the helmet. A gain of 4. He is a runner at that point. And Terry McCauley, the referee, was right there watching it every step of the way as we welcome in a new audience. That's a perfectly legal hit with Manning there as a runner. Not a passer. 3rd down and 3.
118.
Pass is caught. Beckham. Odell Beckham. Down inside the 20.
They put Odell Beckham in the slot, so you're not going to draw Josh Norman. You got Cortland Finnegan on him in man coverage on the drag route. Can't keep up with Odell Beckham. No way was he running out of bounds. He cuts it back in. Looked like he was even going to break that last tackle. Big third down conversion. Coughlin would have had a decision to make there had they not have converted.
Coming up on the 2-minute warning. Play action. Manning. End zone. Incomplete. If you're just joining us, this game for the longest time, Troy, was going to be known as the game where a great young receiver in Odell Beckham lost his cool, lost the mind game in the matchup with Josh Norman. It was ugly for a while. A lot of swinging, punching, grabbing after plays. Beckham's been flagged 3 times for a personal foul, and now he makes the catch on 3rd down in a game that's a 7-point game. This thing's completely flipped. 2nd and 10. Green one-on-one with Finnegan, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning.
Well, think about it, Joe. I mean, you wouldn't have thought, based on everything that had happened, that the Giants could get focused enough to even get themselves back in a position to be in this game.
Well, they are. 2-minute warning. For those of you who are just joining this game after seeing other games during Week 15, there's been so much going on before, during, and after plays between Beckham and Norman. But now we're back to football, thankfully, and with 1:55 to go, the Giants have a 3rd down and 5. Down by 7. Manning. That ball is, at the moment, loose. It is recovered by Carolina. The ball came out. Coughlin saying that Manning's arm was going forward. It's a turnover. They will give it a look. And it certainly looks like his arm is.
A fumble,
but the ruling is a fumble.
First down.
It sure looks to me like it's an incompletion there and not a fumble. Once they look at this, it looks like it was Mario Addison who got the pressure on him.
Let's bring in Mike Pereira. Mike, that looks like an incomplete pass, which would bring up 4th down.
It certainly does, Joe. It's just about control of the ball in the hand moving forward, then comes out. You know, to me, this will be reversed.
A booth review with 1:45 left. If the call's overturned, it's 4th and 5 for the Giants.
After review, the quarterback's hand was going forward in control. It is an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th and 5 on the 14.5-yard line. Please set the game clock to 1 minute, 51 seconds. 1:51.
No disputing that the arm was going forward. It brings up 4th down and 5. The largest regular season deficit overcome. 28 points. The 49ers beat New Orleans in overtime in 1980. This would tie it. Giants trailed 35-7. But they need to convert on 4th down and 5. Carolina gets a stop here. They take over.
Hey, Jelly! Go 59! Go 59! Middle.
Manning. End zone! Touchdown, Beckham! Now to tie it. Brown. Bad snap. Good hold. Tie game.
see Odell Beckham, and on the outside, a bit of a double move, it looked like, by him, where he slow plays Josh Norman. As he comes off the ball, it looked like he started like he may go to the slant, and it gives Eli Manning then some room to lay it to the back pylon with Beckham getting a step. That's a great job on 4th down and the game on the line against what I think is the best corner in football right now.
Eli Manning delivers the back of the end zone, and Norman, that battle has gone on since they kicked this thing off. And Beckham right now has the last laugh. Giants have outscored the Panthers 28-0 over the last 14 minutes and 32 seconds. And this game is tied, but Carolina has 2 timeouts left. Plenty of time to get downfield and try to get their record to 14-0 as Whitaker waits for it. Along with Webb, and it's Webb from the end zone. Forced out by Trevin Wade. Dahl was in on the stop as well. And Cam Newton, who is leading the MVP chase in the NFL for 2015, has it in front of him right now. Look at his day. 88 yards on the ground, 303 through the air, and 5 touchdowns.
Well, like you said, Joe, there's plenty of time left in this game. Carolina with 2 timeouts. They're a big play offense, and it doesn't always have to happen through the air.
No Jonathan Stewart in this game, out with a sprained foot. Blitz. This is Whitaker. And I'll tell you, Troy, you pointed it out when it was going on early. Just about every time Newton has dropped back to pass now, there's a blitz coming from the Giants, called by Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, they haven't been able to hold up in coverage, and they haven't been able to get to Cam with just 4 guys on the rush, so they're bringing extra guys, trying to slow him down.
Smart call here just to get the first down with under a minute and a half to go in the game. There's Steve Spagnuolo. His defense has come up. Last couple of times the Panthers have had it after getting shredded in the middle part of this game. In case you're wondering, for Gano, his career long is 59 yards.
Well, Ted Ginn is in the lineup. He's out here. He's their big play threat.
Newton protected. Pass for Olsen is caught into Giants territory. And the big tight end comes up with a 16-yarder. Timeout taken by Carolina.
This is amazing by Cam Newton. Greg Olsen sees his quarterbacks in trouble. He's able to improvise and get out and create some separation. And Cam Newton just slinging this thing off his back foot. I mean, he had a lot on that ball, and Greg Olsen able to bring it in.
Oh, this game is so important for the New York Giants, coming in tied on top of the NFC East, but the tiebreaker's not in their favor at the moment. Carolina trying to continue their undefeated season. Cam Newton's had a huge day. Eli Manning has come on here now, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. And that bottom line, the Panthers led 35-7. Now we're tied at 35. First down. Pass caught by Ginn. And Ted Ginn, who's been bothered by a rib injury in this game, to the 35.
Now they went one-on-one on the outside, and on Ted Ginn, Prince Amukamara is there in coverage, but Ginn able to get a step and then make the play.
This one is too high. And Ginn gets hit by Amukamara. Meanwhile, as we said, the career long for Gano is 59 yards. He told our Aaron Andrews he feels good from 54, which means getting it to the 36, and they're already there. Right now, a 53-yard field goal try from this spot. 1 timeout left. 32 seconds. Newton can't take a sack. He's able to slide down at the 25, and they're going to give him a first down. And the clock continues to run. Five seconds left. It's up to Gano.
Really incredible job by Cam Newton, and he had a chance to get the ball out to Whitaker in the flat right away. Instead, he keeps it, and he picks up a lot of yards. This goes back to the previous field goal attempt that would have made it a 17-point game that was blocked by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie coming off the edge. We'll keep an eye on him. And here's Cromartie right here.
Jansen will snap it. Nortman will hold it. Gano to win it from 43. And a timeout taken by the Giants.
First charge timeout, New York. 30 seconds.
Cam Newton has thrown for 340 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions.
It's just a great job by him. You see Whitaker go to the flat. Newton's not looking for him, and now it's him and Unga one-on-one, and no way Unga's going to make that play. And what a job by Cam Newton, a dual threat to set up this game-winning field goal.
He's rushed for an even 100 yards in this game. Now Beckham is out there. He may try to get a running start and a leap. The kick is good, but a flag is down. Each side is pointing to the other.
Illegal formation. Defense lined up over the center. Penalties decline. The points are good. That is the end of the game.
The Carolina Panthers win it on the 43-yarder by Graham Gano to get to 14-0. And that feverish comeback by the Giants, it tied this game at 35, but Gano is good from 43. The State Farm post-game show coming up. On the other side of the break, the undefeated season continues for Cam and the Panthers.